or past positions?
Well, the first five projects, or the first five cases that were filed with the, or referred to the Office of the Ombudsman and now subject of preliminary investigation, cover cases on ghost projects, no, flood control projects in the first district of Bulacan. Okay, so these are five cases, and this covers about quite a number of respondents. No, the more prominent of them you would already know would be Henry Alcantara, Bryce Hernandez, Dumasig, JP Mendoza, and several other personalities. Kasi we're still focusing, I think the five cases are focusing on the participation of the District Engineering Office of Bulacan 1. So sila muna yung subject nito mga cases na to, as this involves also contractor who actually lent their license for purposes of being able to get that flood control project.
Wala sir, lawmakers or former lawmakers?
No, none. As we announced also during the time when we refer the case to the Office of the Ombudsman, there is no lawmaker yet, neither a congressman or a senator, who is included in the charges that are being subjected to a preliminary investigation.
Sir, yung interim report ng ICI kanina submitted to the Ombudsman, ano na bang procedure doon? Does it end with the Ombudsman or will the Ombudsman send it back to you? Kasi doon included yung si Mr. Villanueva at si Mr. Estrada ata.
Well, I suppose the procedure as far as the Office of the Ombudsman is concerned is for them to make an evaluation of the cases. Remember that these cases that we have now, which are the subject of a preliminary investigation, involve officials of the DPWH who have salary grades below 27. So this is within the purview or within the jurisdiction of the Department of Justice. Now, as far as the referral, no, we have not received a copy of the referral of the ICI to the Office of the Ombudsman, but if it does involve lawmakers, whether they're congressmen or senators, then this would involve personalities who have salary grades above 27. So the Ombudsman would be the appropriate office to make the evaluation, to study whether or not there is enough evidence. As to who will conduct the preliminary investigation, that's really the call of the Office of the Ombudsman. But they have jurisdiction to do so. But they also have that authority to deputize the Department of Justice if they do so, or if they wish.
Sir, yung Diskaya couple, dito po ba sa DOJ, nag-withdraw na sila ng application for WPB? And in case mag-withdraw, babawiin po ba yung protection na binigay sa kanila?
The Diskaya couple has not made any categorical statement, the same way that they did with the ICI, that they will no longer be cooperating. Here in the Department of Justice, there were discussions earlier with the Diskaya couple, but as far as we are concerned, we are not dependent on what the Diskayas have to say or have to offer. We can proceed with whatever investigation we believe we can go on with, and we will just await if they do decide to come back and come up with a statement that they will be having the department evaluate for purposes of determining whether they qualify as state businesses or not.
Pero ongoing yung application nila dito sa DOJ?
Well, sabi ko nga, wala pang categorical na pag-uurong tulad ng ginawa nila sa ICI. So, open pa naman din, no, ang department. Hindi nga lang kami hindi maaaring gumalaw dahil sa hindi sila nagpupunta rito. Pagpapatuloy pa rin namin yung aming mga ginagawang investigasyon, yung ginagawang investigasyon ng NBI, para lang nang sa ganon, tawag nito, hindi tayo nakasalalay lamang sa testimonya or so kung ano man yung salaysay na ibibigay nitong mag-asawa na to.
Sir, para sa Diskayas, yung whatever testimony, kung meron man given, pwede pa bang gamitin against them or include against, considering kung saan atas ng
It would be premature to make any statement to that effect right now. Kasi we have to be able to see what is in the statement before we can make any categorical declaration that it could be used or not. So, ang proseso kasi niyan is kung merong salaysay na ibibigay, ito po ipapakita at titingnan ng ating mga prosecutors na assigned sa kaso, i-evaluate nila, titingnan kung ito ay maaaring magamit or merong relevance sa kung ano pa mang kaso na nakasampa na sa ngayon.
Discayas na bibigyan ng Zambito?
If kasama na sila sa charge, no, hindi po sila kasama dito. Dito po sa 5 kaso na to, I believe the ones who are the contractor involved is SIPS.
Nagpupunta dito yung mga Diskaya and yung iba pang involved na personalities. Pero parang recently, hindi na sila madalas pumunta. And yung evaluation sa application nila for state witness.
Hindi mo lang sila nakikita pero nagpupunta sila. Actually, merong mga patuloy yung ating ginagawang pakikipag-ugnayan doon sa ibang mga testigo. Kasi hindi lang naman po tayo nakasentro doon sa mga Diskayas, no? The Diskayas were last here, if I'm not mistaken, about 3 weeks ago. No? But as far as other witnesses, they continue to be having discussions with our prosecutors. Their statements are being evaluated to determine whether it can be of use in any of the cases that will be filed.
Pero wala pa namang incident, sir, na pinatawag sila tapos hindi sila nagpunta.
Sa amin kasi, alam mo, pagka nag-a-apply ka ng Witness Protection Program, it's voluntary. So it means to say it's on their own volition that they come here for purposes of telling us what it is that they know so that we can evaluate the same. It is not for the department to call for them na parang hahabulin natin sila, no? Kasi kung hindi sila tutugon doon sa ating pagtawag sa kanila, di alam na natin ayaw makipag-cooperate. Sa atin, we leave the option of them cooperating with the department to do, that's the decision that they have to make.
Sir, last na lang sa akin, yung request ng DOJ na makuha yung custody ng mga protected witness natin, may update na or sagot yung Senate?
Well, that was something in the pipeline that was raised before to make it easier for witnesses who are supposed to be under detention in the Senate to have access to records or documents that they may have. I am just not quite certain yet if that request has been formally made with the Senate Sergeant at Arms, to have custody transferred to the Witness Protection Program or to the Department of Justice.
Sir, sabi po ng Ombudsman, parang hostile witnesses na daw itong Diskayas. Ano po bang nakikita dito ng DOJ? Parang sabi ni Assistant Ombudsman Clavano, wala naman daw talagang affidavit. Sino pa ang salaysay itong mga Diskayang nakuha ang DOJ?
Thank you for your question, sir. We'd like to clarify that the powers and competence of the Ombudsman is independent of that of the DOJ. Magkaiba po yung assessment namin ng evidence of the affidavits by the would-be witnesses with the applicants for state witnesses. When the Ombudsman say that the witness has been rendered hostile, we have to make a distinction between a hostile witness legally, as defined under the rules of court, and maybe a hostile witness loosely used in saying na hindi na po cooperative yung witness na to sa sinasagawa nilang investigation or evaluation. So again, it's a clarification of what hostile witness is under the law and hostile witnesses as being uncooperative generally. But we want to emphasize na iba po yung, again, iba yung evaluation ng DOJ with respect to that of the Ombudsman. In the same way that the cases regarding flood control are different from the ones filed here with the ones filed there. Okay, as far as we're concerned, the Ombudsman deputized us to conduct preliminary investigation with respect to the 5 cases already mentioned. There are other pending cases with the Ombudsman of which the DOJ currently has no jurisdiction over.
Siguro idagdag ko na rin lang, no, yung when you say hostile kasi yung sinasabi ng Office of the Ombudsman. Remember, hostility means that one does not want to cooperate. No? We do not know what arrangement has been made by the Diskayas with the Office of the Ombudsman, no? Or if they have been called or summoned to appear in any investigation there. Now, yung dito naman sa department kasi, we cannot ascertain yet whether there is hostility up until we see the statements that they have to say. Liwanagin din po namin na hindi po kasi yan ibig sabihin o nangangahulugan. Kung ikaw ay magbibigay na ng salaysay, agad-agad makakapag-desisyon ang department kung ikaw ay ituturing ng isang state witness o hindi. Kaya nga po kailangan na masuri muna ng mabuti itong mga salaysay na ito upang makita ito ba'y may kahalagahan, kaya ba nitong isubstantiate lahat ng allegations. Remember, it's very easy to mention names, but simply because one mentions a lot of names does not mean that automatically they would qualify already. There are so many details that have to first be ascertained for us to determine whether there is basis to include the names that were mentioned. So, sabi ko nga ho, it's not simply a matter of magbanggit ka ng pangalan, kailangan ilahad mo rin yung mga specifics nito. Tulad ng, halimbawa, pag binanggit yung pangalan ng isang politiko, saan mo siya nakatransaksyon, patungkol sa kung anong proyekto, magkano ang involved, magkano ang naibigay ninyo, magkano ang naging parte ninyo, diba? Paano ang naging bigayan nito, saan ito ibinigay, paano ito ibinigay. All these details have to be made available for us to ascertain whether or not the person referred to really should be included in any of the charges that will be filed later on.
Hello po, sir. May update po ba kung may nadagdag sa mga nag-a-apply ng state witness? Because 5 days ago, the Ombudsman said Bryce Hernandez is no longer seeking to be a state witness. May nadagdag po ba or nabawas dun sa alam po natin na nag-a-apply ng state witness?
Well, merong mga nadagdag, kinoconsider namin yan, tinitingnan namin kung saan sila maaring mag-state witness. Kasi ang posisyon nga ng department is hindi po tayo pwedeng magbigay ng tinatawag nating blanket immunity. Na isang salaysay patungkol sa immunity or admission into the program for all the cases that will be filed. Now, there are the names of whom I cannot disclose at this time, but I think the declaration that Bryce Hernandez is not applying as a state witness anymore is because there is an acknowledgement on the part of Mr. Bryce Hernandez from the very start na aminado naman ako naging kabahagi ako nito, di ba? So, the fact that he is no longer applying does not make him not qualified to be an ordinary or regular witness. No? Kasi bahagi pa rin naman siya ng mga kaganapan na patungkol sa kanyang sinasalaysay.
And then in relation po sa mga witnesses, nasa pina na po ba natin si Orly Gutesa? Nahanap na po ba siya?
Hindi po natin sinusubpina si Orly Gutesa for purposes of evaluation kung sasama siya or pwede siyang ituring state witness. Sabi ko nga kanina, ang pagiging state witness is an application which is voluntarily made by any person who believes that they have something to disclose pertaining to a particular crime that has been committed. Now, Mr. Orly Gutesa, I believe, testified before the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, and if he so wishes to be covered, whether to ask for protection or to apply as a state witness, he's welcome to do so. But it is something that will have to be done by him voluntarily.
And then, sorry sir, last na po. Yesterday, naglabas po ng court decision yung Manila RTC. Will the DOJ investigate him and file cases of falsification as instructed po by the Manila judge?
As soon as we get hold of a copy of the decision or the order of the court, we will act accordingly. We have not seen it. I heard in the news that the court had declared that the document or the notarization was falsified. But as to what the instructions of the court are specifically for the department to do, we have not received it yet. So we'll take a look. Up until then, we will withhold any comment on that. Tingnan muna namin po kung ano yung laman ng decision.
Again, we have to look dito po sa independence of each body working. So when a court says one thing, let's say with respect to this order, they cannot instruct us to do something immediately because the prosecution under the DOJ is independent of the courts. Although, syempre, we're all part of the same criminal justice system. Okay, so with respect to the prosecution, complaints will necessarily have to be filed first with the prosecution as the general rule before the prosecution conducts investigation, and then afterwards, if we find that sufficient proof exists, meeting the quantum of evidence under the law, then we file it with the courts. Okay, so we just want to make the distinction between the powers and competence of the courts with that of the prosecution in relation to the criminal justice system.
Sir, sorry, i-follow up ko lang ng konti. Pero malinaw na po na hindi na natin magagamit yung naging salaysay ni Orly Gutesa doon po sa Senate. Kasi nung nakaraan is hawak siya ni dating SOJ Remulla. So sa ngayon, hindi na po natin siya gagamitin for part of the investigation.
Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, hindi pa namin alam kung ano yung nilalaman ng order ng husgado. No? So ayokong pangunahan na magbigay ng komento kung magagamit natin o hindi. No? Ang punto kasi dyan is, sa pagkakaunawa ko, ang pinawalang bisa or ang sinasabi ng husgado, hindi po ito ninotaryuhan ng taong nakapirma doon who appears to be the notary public. The question is, ano ang epekto doon sa salaysay ni Gutesa? Does it mean that just because it is not notarized by that lawyer whose name appears there, these are all lies? No? Ibig sabihin po noon, hindi lang pwedeng gamitin yon sa kahit na anong yung sabihin natin. It cannot be binding as far as third parties are concerned. But as far as Gutesa is concerned, no, kung yung sinasabi niya, ito yung salaysay ko, hindi naman magbabago yan kung saan nagnotaryohan o hindi. Di ba? Because the truthfulness or veracity is different from the fact that it is binding as far as he is concerned and so far as third persons are concerned. Yes. Yeah, isa pa yan, no? Kasi notwithstanding the fact na na-declare na hindi yung tao na nag-appear doon as notary ang nag-notarize yung document, tama yung pinunto mo na doon sa Senado, nung siya nagsalita, siya ay pinanumpa muna. No? At yan, he is also bound by the oath that he took when he was in the Senate and when he testified before the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. So, if it can be used, yes, I still believe it is something that can be used. No, it can be useful. I think the case that was filed before the RTC was for the benefit of the notary, just to prove that I did not notarize that document. No, but it does not say that just because I did not notarize it, it means that the things that are stated there are lies.
And protected witness kasi siya ng DOJ. Paano yun? Maapektuhan ba? Hindi na siya protected witness ka?
Hindi po. Yung kanyang, yung declaration kasi that Bryce is no longer applying as state witness, this was a statement which was made by the Office of the Ombudsman, if I'm not mistaken. And as to whether or not he would still want to continue to apply as a state witness before the cases, or before the Department of Justice, where there are cases that are also being investigated and are pending, it's really up to him. No? All we had to do is have those statements evaluated to determine whether they will be useful to the prosecution. As far as protective custody is concerned, remember that all of these people, the Discayas, Bryce Hernandez, JP Mendoza, Henry Alcantara, Yusek Bernardo, are people who are given protective custody, no, or protection by the WPP because there are threats to their security, which they disclosed before the Senate. And parang sinasabi nila, bago kami magsalita, gusto lang naman namin din malaman o matiyak yung aming seguridad. Pero as far as the protection, if they need protection, then the Witness Protection Program will be more than ready to provide them that.
So sa DOJ, sir, wala pang binabawi na application si Bryce?
Wala pa po ako nalalaman na binabawi siya na application.
Sir, yun nabanggit mo na nag-a-apply ng mga bago. From the side ng contractor ba yun or government officials?
These are still government officials.
DPWH?
Yeah, I would say, safe to say, they are from the DPWH. So susunod ang itatanong mo na sa akin yung pangalan.
Hindi sir, mataas na official ba to? Anong level?
Ilagay na lang muna natin pansamantala na siya ay isang sila ay taga-DPWH pa din.
Ilan, sir?
Ilan?
Hindi ko na muna sasabihin kung ilan. Sa susunod,
Salary grade, sir.
Salary grade. Pasakop sa jurisdiction ng department.
USEC ba to, sir?
Location, sir. Bulacan or labas ng Bulacan?
Alin? Oh yes, so kung sakop ng department is below 27.
Sir, dun sa mga nakakausap natin, sino na po yung parang matibay na pwedeng maging state witness? Yung may mga hawak din pong ebidensya na i-present sa inyo.
Sa ngayon po, hindi po namin maaaring i-disclose kung ano man yung nagiging kasunduan and so far as admission into the program because that is something which is confidential and can only be released if there is a court order which would allow the scrutiny of the application itself.
Sirs, good afternoon.
Yes, good
Sirs,
afternoon.
can you just seek your legal guidance? No? An expert whom we spoke to kanina said that anyone who presents a falsified or in this case wrongfully notarized document may be held criminally liable. And in the case of Mr. Witness Orly Gutesa, could Senator Marcoleta also be held accountable?
In any case, no, in any proceeding or case that involves parties, mga akusado lang po or yung mga parties lang ang liable in the event that they are found guilty. Okay, in this case, the affidavit was found to be falsified. As far as we know, si Orly Gutesa lang ang party involved. So Senator Marcoleta, insofar as his involvement in the Senate proceedings, Senate hearings is concerned, this has nothing to do with Orly Gutesa's case, which happened to be decided in court. So again, I emphasize or re-emphasize that you have to make distinctions between the agencies, the government agency, the bodies conducting whatever hearing there is, and rendering the decisions. So Senator Marcoleta, not being a party to that case, we cannot speak for him. But in the same way, we cannot speak for the Senate, for the Congress. All we're saying is kapag may kaso sa court, sa hukuma, nag-render ng desisyon ng huwes, yung mga partido lang na kaakibat dun sa kaso na yon, ang may-render guilty in the event that the court judge does say so.
Okay, thank you. May just briefly shift on other topics, sir. Yung pong, now that the anti-POGO law is in effect, when can the public po expect the DOJ to release its implementing rules and regulations, and what will be the main focus of the IRR po?
I cannot give you details yet, no, because it's something that will have to be referred with the task force which is handling it, the IACA task force which is actively handling all these POGO cases. No, we'll find out soon from them, and as soon as we do find out the time frame within which they will be able to work out the implementing rules and guidelines, implementing rules and regulations, we will advise the media. Yes.
Kasi sabi nga, nailabas na daw po tatlong air asset ni dating Congressman Saldico. May balak po ba tayo na mag-request for an urgent na pagpapalabas ng freeze order?
Well, even as we speak, there are other agencies, not only the department which is working on that. No, we have the Anti-Money Laundering Council, which is looking into the financial investigations. No, so I think that will prove helpful. No, and there are other remedial measures that can be done also. No, we can start looking into possible forfeiture. No, whether it's civil or criminal forfeiture, but I think the more important thing, the concern of the department really is to make sure that there are cases that are actually filed and investigated already. We're more concerned about making sure that these cases start moving.
Pero sa side po ng DOJ, parang kahina-hinala na, yun nga, nailabas na agad yung 3 air assets niya.
Ayoko magsalita muna kung kahina-hinala na, no? That would be preempting whatever the results of the other investigations will be conducted.
Thank you.
Yung first meeting ng PNP ICI, they were fielding PNP personnel who conducted evaluation of first site, parang kasi PNP had more personnel on the ground. Ano yun, sir, parang if a project does not exist, does that constitute lima fact because the money was paid up, there was call, but there was no actual project made? Would that be good enough for the DOJ?
No. It will be a red flag, and it will be the basis for, it will definitely stir suspicion and definitely require looking into it more carefully to look for the details. Simply because an inspection is made and the project is not there, no? Parang ang tingin kaagad natin is, wala yung proyekto dito, ito yung coordinates, so ghost project yan. Pagpalagay na natin na magre-red flag yan, na ghost project, you still have to be able to trace sino ang Kaninong distrito involved yan? Anong pondo na bumaba dyan? Kanino nagdaan yung pera kung dumaan man, no? Kung halimbawang ito ba ay umakyat sa kung kaninong politiko or ito ba ay hanggang doon lamang sa distrito. All of this are necessary documents for the prosecution. Tandaan po natin, yung presumptions like that during the investigation is something that we have to be very careful with because we may think that it is enough, but remember once you get to the courts, the quantum of evidence changes, no? Invariably, napakataas po. Ang hinahanap nga ang korte, ang hinahanap is proof beyond reasonable doubt. So you have to make sure that there is no iota of doubt in the mind of the court that the persons charged are the ones who committed the offense. Now, that is why the department, increasing the quantum of evidence required for filing a case, which is prima facie with reasonable certainty of conviction, we have to secure all of the details necessary to support that observation or finding that the project is not in existence in the area where it is supposed to be. But it does not, while it triggers, no, like I said, it's a red flag, it does not necessarily suffice the requirements or satisfy the requirements that may be needed for prosecution in court just yet.
Dahil po walang freeze order, wala pong kakayahan yung gobyerno na mapigilan, na mailabas, if ever, yung intention na mailabas yung mga air asset. At iba pa yung mga possible na yung perang nakuha from flood control.
You're still referring to Zaldico?
Zaldico po.
No, sabi ko nga po, sa ngayon po meron pong ginagawang investigasyon but we're not privy to it as far as the AMLC is concerned, together with other agencies. So, hayaan ko na lang muna sa ganon kasi mahirap po mag-categorical na magsabi na hindi natin pwedeng habulin. Of course, ang objective po natin is habulin po at mapigilan po ang paglalabas itong mga assets na ito na identified. Simply because it is in the SALN does not mean that it is here. Diba? For all you know, these are assets which are stated, but as to whether or not they're actually here in the country or they're somewhere else hidden already, we do not know. So that the disclosure of the SALNs would probably prove helpful as far as the AMLC is concerned to probably speed up the financial investigation so that we can have freeze orders already issued. Okay?
Paramdam ever since po nung lumabas siya sa Senate, dito sa DOJ, hindi siya nagparamdam?
Hindi po siya nagparamdam dito.
And then, no effort so far para hanapin siya?
On the part of the Department of Justice, no. Like I said, admission or application for admission into the program or protection is an initiative that should come from the witness who wants to apply. So, hindi para ang department ang maghanap sa kanya. Oo, gusto natin sana siyang makausap, no? Pero sa isang banda, hindi din namin alam kung saan siya hahanapin, no? Marami nang nagtatanong kung nasaan siya at kung nakausap na siya ng department.
Sir, pwede...
Definitely, that is a matter that we can look into once cases are filed. Because Interpol's involvement would only come into play once there is a case filed, there are warrants for their arrest, and it would appear already that they are fugitives from justice. For now, it would be premature to make any coordination, no, if you're talking about red notice, but there's such a thing as blue notice, no, for purposes of trying to track where he is. I think that's the one that the former ombudsman, or that the ombudsman was actually referring to. Sa narinig ko siya na dinisclose ni former Secretary Boying, no? We'll have to find out. We want to give accurate details as to whether it was actually filed, and then we'll let you know.
Nag-resume na po ba yung operations? And kamusta yung DNA testing?
Operations po, information with respect to the resumption of these operations, wala pa pong balita. Okay, but all operatives are on standby at the area for the conduct of operations should it be commenced again. We take lead po dun sa PNP. PNP's word is that the last time that they checked, which was October 27, 2025, the visibility underwater was very low. It was not safe for the divers to go in, not safe for any person to resume operations or for any group to do so. And we have to take note that the causes for the suspension was not the volcanic eruptions alone. Weather conditions also affected and went into the decision to suspend operations. Okay, so we're looking at not just the volcanic volcanic eruptions or the conditions of the land bodies there, but also of the climate and the weather. Okay, so DNA testing, no results yet, but like we said before regarding the DNA testing, we need not wait for the results. We need not wait for the analysis. In fact, we've submitted the case for resolution. So it's up to the panel of prosecutors now to assess the evidence and then see if it meets the quantum of proof under DC number 15. Ang evidence po, DNA analysis will only come into play at this point, no, in court, if ever the results do come out. Because as far as the panel of prosecutors are concerned, the case has been submitted for resolution, no further admission of evidence. We're working with so under DC 15, you have 60 days from the time the case was submitted for resolution to resolve the case. So that's 2 months. That's the working period that you have to complete it. So yeah, under the law, that's the prescribed period. Well, you first have to look at if there's a standing extradition treaty with the country or the subject country we're looking at, diba? Because let me just use the case of Zaldico, for example. Number one, his whereabouts are unknown. So the task in looking for these fugitives, for example, would come with the first question of where is the person located? And then second question is, once you do find out where they are located, meron po bang extradition treaty na standing with that country? Because only once you've surmounted those two questions, those two obstacles, will you be able to use these rules to your advantage and make sense of them.
Okay, let me just add, no, yung sa extradition as to how many will benefit from it, we really do not know just yet, no. We'll have to see kung if it will apply to the cases already that we have right now, but definitely, ang rule kasi sa extradition is that you cannot extradite anyone if they have pending cases here in the Philippines. If they have pending cases, these cases will have to be terminated. It means that if they will be acquitted, and that's the only time that you can start processing the extradition application. Or if they get convicted, they will first have to serve the sentence that they are meted before we can even start discussing extradition. But I do not really know in the details just yet, no, and we cannot give exact or specific numbers to answer your question as to how many will benefit.